Will Kevin Durant be out there? For those of you who may have missed it this weekend, he bumped knees with a teammate in practice last week, and it was announced a couple hours before game time, to the shock of many, and by many I mean me, that he wasn't going to play in game one. All this talk, we're going to get to wax rhapsodic about seeing one more run of LeBron versus KD. What do we know about this, Vince? I mean, is he going to come back in game two? Is KD going to play here?
It was a matter, it seemed like a pain tolerance and being able to maneuver and move himself around laterally in game one. Luckily for Houston, LA, and us, these games are stretched out a lot more in the first round. You have a lot more longer breaks. But here's the thing, y'all. You got to see a little bit with Stephen Curry. He had that great game against the Clippers. You turn back the clock, the next game he looked like a 38-year-old. Kevin Durant has played 78 games this year, and he is 37 years old. Old man injuries happen to old men. I don't know why we keep expecting things other than what's in front of us. I know LeBron is the anomaly. Let's put LeBron somewhere else.
Fair.
But Kevin Durant is 37 years old and has had to carry this offense all season long.
To his point, they play Sunday, then Tuesday, then Friday. So there are a lot of days off in here. If he doesn't come back or isn't at his, why are you doing this?
You're right. No, is the answer.
The Lakers are going to win the series.
You don't need to get that question out. If KD's out, then it's a wrap. That's done.
Okay, so now all of a sudden, hold on, let me get a little excited here.
Here we go.
Let me get a little excited. So now all of a sudden, the Lakers, with a lot of rest and a lot of time, come out of this series, and all of a sudden, there's Luka, and he's back, and he's feeling a little better, and all of a sudden maybe he's on the floor again in a round two scenario, and LeBron has looked awfully good here. I mean, are we getting a little interesting with the Lakers?
Yes, it's interesting because they would be further ahead than most of us thought they could potentially get.
But they're going to get OKC in the next round. So, right? That's
I literally supposed to be like, Greedy, who are they going to get in this next round?
See, that's where falling from the 3 to the 4 will wind up being their undoing. Not that San Antonio looks easy to beat, but I would have given them some conceivable chance.
You know what this is, Greeny? I'm going to borrow an NFL term from you guys. This is overreaction Monday.
Okay, go.
We are overreacting to everything on these one-game sample sizes. Luckily, this is not March Madness. These 7-game series take on a life of its own. The Lakers hit a lot of three-point shots. Luke Kennard hit a lot of shots in game one. Houston's defense did not come through. Now, granted, I believe KD is going to come back this series. Granted, they're without their starting center, Steven Adams, without Fred VanVleet. They were a troubled team to begin with in round one. I'm just saying, let's not act like
it's an overreaction that if KD is not available to play, the Lakers are going to win.
But yeah. But we're
that's not overreaction.
No. I'm saying in general.
I feel you.
I'm speaking fluidly.
Okay.
I'm speaking fluidly, Monica.
Me and Greeny dealt with the facts.
He said, let's get excited.
Okay, that's fair.
Well, let's at least get interested in what the Lakers are doing, and let's at least say this. Can we at least just say this? And we just live in a terrible world now, because we live in a world where you cannot praise someone on social media anymore without it automatically being turned into a suggestion that you are denigrating someone else. But what I posted yesterday on social media is just simply true. LeBron James is playing at a level at his age that we have never ever seen in basketball before. The greatest postseason performance by any player over the age of 40 in NBA history, and it's not close, is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the 87 playoffs. The Lakers played 18 games. They won the championship that year. He averaged 19 and 7. I watched every minute of every game they played in those playoffs. Kareem is an all-time great. He had 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers in their prime on that team in Magic Johnson and James Worthy. Kareem was terrific. He was the third option on those teams. LeBron James is playing. He won't make it to 18 games in this postseason, but he is playing at a level a year older than Kareem was then, at a level we have never seen. So let's take a moment and just appreciate, without turning it into a debate about anything, just take a moment to appreciate that what we are seeing is something we have literally never seen before.
I think you're right to point that out, Greeny. I think it is appropriate. And yes, while you can enjoy it, the reality of the last 4 seasons or so say that the question is not, can we get these glimpses of brilliance that have been sustained over his long tenure career? It's how sustainable are they at this point? And that's the real question.
On a given night, he can be as great as he ever was. The question is, what happens the night after that?
Right. Well, I mean, Kareem had Worthy and Magic, and he was supposed to have Luka Doncic, and we'll see what happens from here. Up opening weekend of the NBA playoffs, 7 home teams won easily, and then there were the Pistons. who fell to the Magic 112-101 yesterday in a game that Orlando led wire to wire. Vince Goodwill, was this a bad game or a bad sign for Detroit?
Bad game, but it can get worse. I think when you look at Cade Cunningham scoring 39, he looked like himself. Nobody else did. The question that we had was, what happens when you have to play playoff defense in the playoffs when that's the way you play in the regular season? They didn't even bring their regular season defense to the game.
Right.
So that's why I'm concerned.
So what he says, I'm not sure what he says. Monica,
right.
go.
Let me help you, friend. A bad game that can turn into worse is a bad sign, right? Like this, when I look at this matchup in particular, the things that Detroit have hung their hat on in terms of their defense and their physicality, check, let's go in terms of this Orlando Magic squad, who, mind you, Greeny, has maybe not been as healthy as they would like, but they look as good as they could right now.
But the thing is, I will say about Detroit. They haven't played a meaningful game in 2 weeks. That's rust and that's rhythm. And when you are a team that defends itself on physicality and you haven't played a meaningful game, I'll give them this. But they haven't won a playoff game at home since May 26, 2008, Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics.
Yeah,
that's 18 years ago. All right, I'm not sure how old Victor Wembanyama was then. He made his playoff debut last night. We opened the show with highlights. He had 35 points, 5 of 6 from 3. Monica, we touched on it just so briefly at the beginning. What do we say about this?
Good luck to the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
I think his poise in this one, the variety of ways in which he was able to attack this defense. And here's the thing, Greeny, he only had 5 rebounds, which is nothing to sneeze at, but we know he's capable of double-doubles in his sleep. Now, to me, and I continue to say, when he starts to really start getting dimey and dishing the ball when those double teams are coming, then, I mean, we're already on lookout. But I think that's maybe the only piece of his game that I'm looking to see evolve.
I am fascinated by how quick he processes information. They tried physicality with him early in the game. That lasted for maybe 3.5 minutes, and then he figured it out. I'll just take it end to end, and you won't be able to catch me. You won't be able to foul me. So the fact that he processes information that it usually takes players a year to do, he's doing it in 12 minutes of real time. Good luck to whoever they're playing next.
Well, that would be Denver or Minnesota. The winner of this series gets the winner of the Timberwolves and Nuggets. Denver is up 1-0 in that series. Boston is up 1-0 easily in their series. Jason Tatum, in his return to the playoffs, 25 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. This game was over about 30 seconds after it tipped off yesterday.
Greeny.
I enjoyed listening to Charles Barkley talk about how awful it was. I mean, Monica, did Boston put everybody on notice?
I don't think they put anyone on notice that they shouldn't have already been on. But what I will say, especially when you look back at last year, the Orlando Magic, the physicality of last year's series in the first round for them, then going to the second round. If this series turns up into basically a warm-up run, a part of the ramp-up for Jason Tatum, and he can elevate heading into the next series, then perhaps there is another level of notice for us to get to.
The thing with Tatum that struck me, Monica, was that how easy the game came to him. When you first saw him come back, it looked like he was trying to find his rhythm. He was trying to make the game a little too difficult, trying to prove that he was Jason Tatum. You see how many layups he got yesterday just off of closeout and layups and dunks? Just easy. When you can play like that, now granted, that's a Philadelphia 76er team that does not have a lot in terms of key players. Like Paul George does not look like himself, either that or Jason Tatum made him look like he was old. One of the two could be the case. But when he's playing off of Jaylen Brown, when he's playing as a secondary scorer, the sky's the limit for him and his ball club.
As you see there, DraftKings says the Celtics are a fairly significant favorite to win the Eastern Conference. And then we go to the West, and the big question,